So, in preference of today's subject, first thing I have to say is that he was popular in camp, he was a nice guy, he helped people, he doesn't complain much, and very importantly, he will always be very helpful to people who he felt deserved it. The only downside of this guy was that he was very impulsive. He acted on feelings a lot, so which might reflect on why today's story he acted the way he did. So one day I open the door from the club office and I step out and I see Lee under one of the big ass trees by the parade ground, as he is the old camp, mind you. So I walk over and I see him just squatting there and I say Lee, what are you doing? And he's like, hey Ben, come look. And I see basically a bunch of leaves that have been rolled up and a few white things in front of him. And as I get closer, I see it's a leaf cutter ant colony. And he basically has seen it in the trees, took a big ass stick, knocked it down, and was using that stick to rip it open and was pushing out a lot of the larvae of the ants. And a lot of them were these undeveloped, not fully developed ants, which were still in the larval stage. They mean they're white, they look like ants, but they're all curled up. And he's poking at them. I stand there for a while and I look and say, okay, well, interesting, and I walk off. Later on, I go to the guardhouse and I see him there, and he had collected a few of them, and then he uses the commemorative Swiss Army knife that we were all given, and he was cutting the larvae open. And I won't lie, even I stood there for a while to look at what was inside, and he was pulling the legs and seeing it snap back, just exploring really. This leads to the thing that is the highlight story of the day. So one day I stepped out of the club office again and I see him squatting over what I call the pool. It's this weird square that's been dug into the ground, concrete on all four sides, right? And it's just water there. I don't know what it's for, maybe to clean ammo in the past, but it's just a pool of water. If I remember correctly, there weren't even any railings around, so you could literally drop in, right? And it's a deep ass pool. I think it was 25 meters or something. So he's just squatting over it with his hands cupped. So I walked over and I thought he's seeing some fishes or something under there because we don't know what it's for. So I look over and it's like, why are you squatting here? And he goes, hey, Bing, look. And he opens his hand and there are a lot of pink squirming things there. And I go what the hell? And I look, it's baby mice. And I'm like, why do you have so many mice in your hand? He's like, oh, so basically they were in either the back of the guardhouse or in the depot and they were digging out weeds and they hit upon a nest for mice. Alright, and the officer said, get rid of them, the babies that is. So no one wanted to do it obviously because it's very uncomfortable, right? But him being gung-ho and enthusiastic and young, and he was a young guy, mind you, early 20s, he volunteered for some reason to do it. So he had all these baby mice, and then he's like, hey, what do you think if we drop one? Then he takes one by the tail, and before I say anything, he just drops it. And he hits the water, and his little legs, his eyes aren't even open yet, by the way. And he just like this, and it sinks. And I don't know why it doesn't float, but it just sinks, and it just disappears. And my eyes are wide. I'm like, whoa. And I remember saying to him, hey, Lee, maybe just put them back, But he does say something very logical, which is, I put back also die what? And the officer said to get rid of them. And I can't deny, he made sense. So I left him to it. And I walked off. Last story for the day is not as morbid, but at some point, I was about to leave the army. So I was sitting there just relaxing, and he sits beside me one day. And he said to me, hey, have you heard of this? And he takes out these capsules and I look at it and it's wheatgrass capsules. He's like, oh, I work out and it's really helpful. It helps me with my digestion and everything like that. And here's the thing, Singapore did a good job warning us about multi-level marketing. Alright, so I instantly knew what this was. So I told him hey man, not interested. And he's like, hey, yeah, no problem. But if next time you're interested, remember I can give you a good price. So I said, yep, no problem. I went to talk to some people about it, and they basically told me what happened is that he met a Thai girl. He needed money fast because he wanted to bring her to Singapore, but he had to house her, and because she couldn't work, he had to pay for her living expenses also. And this was the only way he found he would get the money fast. I don't know what happened, and also people told me that they tried telling him this was a bad idea, but like I say, young, impulsive, So that was Lee. In fact, next time he'll be involved in next week's story with the other RP called Max that involves a tombstone. So, you want to hear about that? Come back next time. Till next word.